Every year millions watch the NFL Draft believing it is a dream fulfilled. A celebration of talent, hard work, and destiny finally rewarded. Young men sit with their families dressed in expensive suits, smiling for cameras they do not control, waiting for a phone call that will decide everything. They are told this is opportunity. They are told this is honor. They are told this is the beginning. But no one explains the rules behind the curtain. No one explains what they are about to lose. At that moment they do not choose their future. They do not choose their city. They do not choose their employer. They do not negotiate their worth. Their lives are reduced to a pick number, announced by strangers on a stage, applauded by fans who will never know their names. From that second forward, their careers are owned by a system, built decades ago, to benefit everyone except them. The draft is presented as hope, but it functions as control. It looks like celebration, but it operates like allocation. Talent sorted, freedom removed, value capped, silence expected. The draft is not a choice. It is an assignment. And once your name is called, there is no way back. Before you watch another draft highlight, understand what's really happening behind the scenes. If you care about the truth behind the NFL, subscribe now. This channel exists for what they won't show you. White heavy checkmark. Before the draft they are told to be grateful. Grateful to be selected. Grateful to be wanted. Grateful to exist in the league at all. They are warned not to complain, not to speak about fairness, not to question the process, because someone else is always waiting. Someone younger, someone cheaper, someone more obedient. The system does not reward independence. It rewards compliance. Contracts are fixed before negotiations even begin. Salary scales decide value before performance. A first pick earns millions. A later pick risks everything. Not because of talent, but because of timing, injury history, market needs. A board built in private rooms. Your leverage disappears the moment you enter. You cannot shop offers. You cannot wait for a better situation. You cannot say no. Refuse and your career freezes. Years can be lost. Opportunities erased. Dreams quietly suffocated. This is not a free market. It is a controlled distribution. Sold as fairness. Disguised as parity. But rooted in ownership. The draft does not protect players. It protects franchises. And the silence around that truth is carefully maintained. White heavy checkmark fans call it balance. Owners call it stability. But players call it survival. Every decision made above them. Every risk placed on their bodies. Before they ever take a snap. A young man can be drafted into chaos. A losing organization. A toxic culture. A system that ruins development. And he must accept it. Because refusing means disappearing. No alternative league waits for him. No second chance guarantees safety. The draft decides more than football. It decides health outcomes, career length, financial security, and long-term damage. One pick can mean opportunity. Another can mean neglect. And the player has no voice. They are told to prove themselves, but never allowed to choose conditions. They are told to earn respect, but never granted control. The draft is the first lesson in how power works in the NFL. It teaches silence early, obedience quickly, and fear permanently. Because once you are drafted, you belong, not to yourself, but to the system that chose you. White heavy checkmark. Long before draft night, the evaluation already begins. Scouts watch every movement, every gesture, every word spoken in interviews. Players are not only measured by speed, but by obedience. Not only by strength, but by silence. They are told to smile, to say the right things, to never challenge authority, to hide injuries, to downplay pain, to sacrifice honesty for opportunity. Medical evaluations dig deep, but rarely protect the player. Red flags are noted. Yet careers are gambled anyway. A torn ligament becomes a question mark. A concussion becomes a footnote. A history of pain becomes leverage against them. Teams calculate risk. Players absorb consequences. Draft boards rank bodies like assets, reducing years of work to numbers and grades. The human element disappears. Fear becomes currency, because one wrong impression, one honest answer, one refusal, can push a player down the board, costing millions, costing security, costing time they will never get back. By the time draft night arrives, the game has already been decided, behind closed doors, without their consent. If this is changing how you see the draft, leave a like, it tells the algorithm this conversation matters. And comment below. Did you ever question the draft before this? White heavy checkmark. Once drafted, the illusion of security quickly fades. Rookies enter facilities with cameras watching, expectations crushing, and contracts that can disappear overnight. Guaranteed money is rare. Promises are temporary. Loyalty is conditional. They are told to earn their place, but replaced without warning. Depth charts change faster than careers can recover. Injuries bring silence from management. Phones stop ringing. Support fades. Draft status protects teams, not players. A first-round pick will get chances. A later pick will be discarded quietly, not because of effort, but because of investment logic. Coaches fight for their jobs, using players as tools. Front offices calculate numbers, ignoring consequences. The draft locks young men into this cycle, before they understand the rules, before they understand the risks, before they understand how disposable they truly are. By the time they do, their leverage is gone. Their bodies are already paying the price. And walking away means starting over with nothing. White heavy checkmark. The draft is marketed as a gateway to greatness, but it functions as a filter of control, separating who will be protected from who will be expendable. Contracts are structured to favor exits, not longevity. Teams can move on easily. Players cannot. The system teaches early compliance. Speak up and you are labeled difficult. Question authority and you are replaceable. Ask for fairness and you are ungrateful. The draft creates dependency, not empowerment. Young players rely on teams for income, medical access, career survival. That dependency silences dissent, because speaking out risks everything. Even success does not guarantee freedom. Franchise tags wait. Extensions stall. Careers are extended only when profitable. The draft is the first chain in a long series of restraints, designed to limit movement, suppress value, and preserve power. It is not an opportunity evenly shared. It is a system carefully engineered to ensure control begins before a player ever steps on the field. White heavy checkmark. What the draft truly controls is time. Years locked into rookie contracts. Years where bodies absorb maximum damage for minimum leverage. The league knows this window well. It is when players are fastest, strongest, most desperate to prove themselves, and least protected. Teams extract peak performance early, before contracts grow expensive, before voices grow confident. By the time players understand their worth, the system shifts against them. Injuries accumulate. Roles diminish. Younger prospects arrive, cheaper and quieter. The draft ensures this cycle never stops. A constant pipeline of replaceable labor, sold as opportunity, but structured as attrition. Very few escape early. Very few control their exit. Most are worn down, physically, mentally, financially, long before they gain leverage. The draft does not start careers. It accelerates decline, under the illusion of progress, where success is temporary, and ownership is permanent. White heavy checkmark. Agents attempt to navigate the system, but their power is limited. Negotiations are cosmetic. bound by rules written without players. Draft slots dictate ceilings. Not talent, not potential, not sacrifice. A late pick can outperform expectations, yet still earn a fraction of his value. Because the system remembers position, not performance. Players are told to wait, to be patient, to trust the process. But patience benefits ownership, not labor. Every snap risks injury. Every season risks replacement. The draft ensures urgency never leaves. Fear drives performance, and performance feeds the machine. Success becomes survival, not fulfillment. Dreams shrink into contracts. Contracts shrink into clauses. Clauses shrink into exit doors that only teams can open. The draft is where this imbalance begins. Quietly, legally, permanently. White heavy checkmark. The public sees celebration, but never the consequences. Never the players who disappear after one training camp. Never the careers erased by bad fits, bad timing, bad luck. The draft assigns blame subtly. Failure becomes personal instead of structural. Players are labeled busts instead of casualties. The system absolves itself by placing responsibility on individuals, ignoring conditions, ignoring development, ignoring exploitation. When players break, the league moves on, drafts again, repeats the cycle, year after year. No accountability, no reflection, just spectacle. The draft creates heroes temporarily, and silence permanently. It trains fans to forget quickly, and players to endure quietly. Because once your name fades, another is ready to replace it. Waiting, smiling, believing, just like you once did. The public sees celebration, but never the consequences. Never the players who disappear after one training camp. Never the careers erased by bad fits, bad timing, bad luck. The draft assigns blame subtly. Failure becomes personal instead of structural. Players are labeled busts instead of casualties. The system absolves itself by placing responsibility on individuals, ignoring conditions, ignoring development, ignoring exploitation. When players break, the league moves on, drafts again, repeats the cycle, year after year. No accountability, no reflection, just spectacle. The draft creates heroes temporarily, and silence permanently. It trains fans to forget quickly, and players to endure quietly. Because once your name fades, another is ready to replace it. Waiting, smiling, believing, just like you once did. White heavy checkmark. Even success does not guarantee escape. Star players remain bound by tags, restructures, and leverage games. Freedom is negotiated slowly, if at all. The draft gives teams control of early years, and tools to extend it. Options, clauses, dead money threats. Players who outperform expectations become bargaining chips, not beneficiaries. They are praised publicly, but constrained privately. Contracts reward availability, not longevity. Injuries reset value instantly, no matter the sacrifice. The draft sets this hierarchy, where teams hold patience, and players absorb urgency. Careers peak while negotiations stall. Windows close quietly, and opportunity expires without warning. By the time freedom appears, bodies are altered, and futures are uncertain. White heavy checkmark. The draft is defended as competitive balance. But balance is never equal. It distributes control downward and profit upward. Teams cycle through talent, while players cycle through pain. The system remains stable because instability is concentrated on individuals. Fans are taught to cheer the process, not question it. Media repeats the narrative. Dreams fulfilled, lives changed, ignoring the invisible cost. The draft protects the league from labor power by fragmenting players early, separating them by draft slot, by contract length, by perceived value. Unity never forms, because comparison replaces solidarity. The draft is not about opportunity. It is about management, managing risk, managing costs, managing silence. Before players ever learn, they had a voice. White heavy checkmark. The draft is defended as competitive balance. But balance is never equal. It distributes control downward and profit upward. Teams cycle through talent, while players cycle through pain. The system remains stable because instability is concentrated on individuals. Fans are taught to cheer the process, not question it. Media repeats the narrative. Dreams fulfilled, lives changed, ignoring the invisible cost. The draft protects the league from labor power by fragmenting players early, separating them by draft slot, by contract length, by perceived value. Unity never forms, because comparison replaces solidarity. The draft is not about opportunity. It is about management, managing risk, managing costs, managing silence. Before players ever learn, they had a voice. White heavy checkmark. What the draft truly teaches is hierarchy. Who decides? Who obeys? Who profits? And who absorbs consequences? It creates distance between labor and control, making resistance individual, never collective. Players enter believing they are exceptional, but leave understanding they were replaceable. That realization arrives quietly, often after injury, after release, after support vanishes. The draft is the first moment power is felt. Before any snap, before any paycheck feels secure. It conditions acceptance of imbalance, of disposability, of silence, because the system does not need cruelty. It only needs compliance. And the draft delivers it efficiently, year after year, with celebration masking control. White heavy checkmark. The NFL draft is not what you think. It is not just names called and dreams realized. It is a mechanism designed to shape careers, limit freedom, and protect profit. Before players understand the cost, the spectacle distracts from the structure. Lights obscure leverage. Applause replaces consent. When a name is called, ownership begins, not legally, but functionally. From that moment forward, time, health, and autonomy are negotiated by others. The draft does not ask permission. It assumes participation, because walking away means invisibility, and staying means survival. This is why the draft endures, unquestioned, celebrated, untouched, because as long as hope remains louder than truth, the system never needs to change. The draft isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. If you want more stories like this, about power, control, and the hidden side of the NFL, subscribe to Dark Side of the NFL, because once you see it, you can't unsee it.